Justice Blue come back to you with another video. I'm currently getting ready for work, lacing up my boots. Coming to you with a short little rant. And this rant includes pussies that I work with at work, which are all males. So if they see this video, understand this is me saying it to you. But I'm going to say it indirectly for right now because I know there's a lot of pussies everywhere. You know, like trolls who sit behind a computer screen. I have males who do that. One male that in particular who does that is what I would call a really good example of a troll. When he comes to work, he brings nothing but snacks, large ass family size bags of potato chips, the whole pops, like liter pops, you know, for himself. And he has a big ass bag basically full of food. Right? A bag full of food he brings. 30, and then I have found out he's 36. And when I found that out, I was so shocked because I was like, damn, I thought you was like in your 20s based on how you act. Because you don't act like your age, you act under your age. Real good example of what we will all say is a troll. Then we have another one. The reason I'm bringing them up because they're a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Then we have another person who swear he's of Christian. He reads nothing but books that explain God and who God is, or people who had experiences with God, or people who are basically living a life of righteousness in his eyes. So, short man, old, wrinkly, and you can tell there is no God life within him because you can tell he actually exists, not with God, but in life. He's not living a life of what he claims to be researching God, right? So I bring up these two people, nameless though, because I know you've experienced these people. So what I'm saying to you is, I wouldn't give a fuck how much research you do on a computer, how many books you read. You will never experience the full life or what God has to offer. You will never get a full conversation with God unless you are willing to step outside the fucking door, step outside the fucking book and the computer, and go experience God himself. And I'm bringing this up because the other day while working with him, Friday, he gave me a little pamphlet speaking of God, but basically about repentance. But most of it was about repenting and, you know, sinners and all of that. And you know what? It automatically brought me back to the fact that he's seen that a female there had liked me, and she was flirting with me throughout my entire shift while working with him. So it just really showed the hateration within him for him to bring me that. That was the first time he ever brought me some shit like that after working with him. So I automatically knew it was bullshit. 3:33, confirmation. Just a moment. Still a little sick getting over it. So that's the dude who's always in the book. I had a brief discussion with him after, and I said, "You can take this packet back." I skimmed over it, but what I also noticed was that I knew it was hateration because after he gave me the packet and said, "Once you're done reading it, I'll just come back and ask you what you thought," as if we were in school, right? So when I skimmed through it the first time, and as I skimmed through it, I kept noticing that he kept coming over there by my work area. So now we do security. One of us behind the X-ray machine and one of us at the security door watching the walk-through metal detector. He was watching the walk-through metal detector and I was at the X-ray machine. Far away from him, but he, for some reason, kept coming over there in my ears to see if I was reading it. But after I skimmed through, you know what I did? I started watching comedy. Because every time I watch comedy, it gives me a better understanding. Because I was really about to rip him a new asshole for 44 confirmation. But instead, I was like, let me just start laughing. And I did find somebody funny, which means I got to laughing out loud. Did you know he had to come up to me and say, so what you watching? Like, he really had to stop whatever the fuck he was going to say. Hey, what you watching? Because I can hear you laughing over there. Yeah, you can hear me laughing because I'm laughing. I said, I'm just watching somebody and tried to see what was on my phone and shit. You know, I had to stop that. So overall, in the end, once he finally came over there and asked me about what I thought about his stupid ass little pamphlet he gave me, speaking about the Bible, I had to say it I had to say it 5 times. You know, we are 2 different people. We believe in 2 different things. But for our love of what we call the higher power, God, or whatever you believe in versus what I believe in, because it will never be the same. Never, ever, ever be the same. We have 2 different beliefs, but because we love our higher power, we believe in coexisting with other people, which he called the wicked, and I do call the wicked sometimes. But the wicked to me is of people who are of judgment, and you can't judge because in that book that you read, I said, it says it right there in the fine line, just like it says right there in the fine lines, God is a skin of bronze, hair of sheep wool. Yet you still want to tell me about Greek shit and all this other shit. We will never see the world in the same light. Ever see the world in the same light. So, with that being said, we can coexist and work with each other. But other than that, on this topic, we will never agree. I said this shit 5 times, 5 different ways. And the moment I just ignorantly said, I don't believe in the book. You can't tell me you're reading that book. Basically what I'm saying. I give a fuck. 644 confirmation. I don't give a fuck how many times you read a book. You cannot tell me God is speaking to you. Especially if you're telling me you've been reading this book for, you're 36 years old, you've been reading it since you were 18, and not one time did God ever come down to speak to you. Baby, and I'm not saying a full-on blown conversation like 2 human beings. I'm talking about God speaks in numbers. When I say confirmation 707, that's a confirmation God is here. 711, confirmation. When I shout out these numbers, or when I speak to other people and they say something similar to somebody I know that is past, or I feel something within my heart or my body is unexplainable, but you feel when you're in the presence of a God. You bring it to a certain place. Most people, how I can explain it, if you've experienced what I've experienced, you either had a near-death experience to see it, and it just started awakening you to the fact that God has been here the whole time, or you've had an experience where either you were about to be attacked and something happened to show you like, okay, God was here. God is right here and is governing these people. For instance, I was attacked at work for a man mistaking what I said. So, but at the end of the day, for 5 days, since the first day I worked there, so for the 5th day, which would have been Friday, I worked there. I was growing tired of this man and really irritating me, constantly bickering at me about the job, not teaching me the job, but bickering with me about my job and who trained me on the job. That one day I just said, why are you constantly bitching at me? Like, cause I felt like it was because I was a woman. That's why he was doing it. So I used the word bitching. He said, call me a bitch one more time. And in that moment, I couldn't help but do it. I said, bitch, in a real harmful way. And did you know he charged at me? Yes, he got so close enough to me to where I can feel our stomachs together. Well, his thingy thing on my stomach. And he was looking down at me and I was looking up at him directly in his eyes. But something like God, I don't know how to explain it, but just listen. Some force was stopping this man. Like, it was like he was in a freeze position. Some force was stopping this man from putting his hands on me. To the point when I realized that it was the force. Because, again, sometimes you doubt. When I realized that it was God himself, I tested it by saying these words. Hit me. So in that instance, when he tried to hit me, like he was literally like this, he couldn't raise his fist for some reason. Like his whole body was in shock. And then in the instance after I said hit me, 2 other males from my job had ran over and pushed him away from me. And I stood right there and just looked at him. And then it happened so quick that, like, in the moment, it's like he became unfroze and was just looking at me as if I was the crazy one. But I was still looking at him as if he was the crazy one, because I couldn't understand what force was there holding you back from me. You ran up as fast as you did, but something stopped you from hitting me. And you could not hit me, but the moment somebody else came and moved you, your body was as normal as possible. So was mine. And it was just like, I just knew God was present. So that's what I mean by God speaks to you in different ways. God is not going to continuously speak to you, or will not speak to you through a book unless he guided you there to a book. And if you're continuously going back to the same book to get the same message God guided you, you don't understand. You have not learned your lesson. You need... What I mean by lessons is cycles. God, for all y'all who disbelieve, the devil is a good man. He is a wonderful man. How do I know this? Because God created him. He is one of the fallen angels. Not only that, he is God's son. Therefore, he was created to do what God asks him to do, which means he has no power over you unless you allow him to have power. That's just like Santa Claus. The more you believe in the devil and his power, the more power he holds over you. When you do not believe in the devil, he can't disturb you. But God will keep sending him in to disturb you so that God can test, who do you walk with? Are you walking by sight, which is the devil? Or are you walking by faith, which is God? Think about it. The devil can only do 1 or 2 things, especially those who are in cycles. And when you're in a cycle, understand this. You constantly live out your life in the same pattern, meaning you will go through a cycle with the devil over and over. You're a drug addict. You're going to continuously use that same drug until you get tired of it. Until you say, okay, God, until you recognize, okay, God, this is where I'm going, where I'm constantly doing drugs simply because I'm running away from hurts, I'm running away from family, I'm running away from life, whatever. You make the statement and you accept God into your heart, your life. And you allow him to come in and steer you into the right path in whichever way he takes you, because no path is the same. That's the thing. No path is the same, just like no experience is the same. And the reason why, because you are meant to be what you're meant to be in God's eyes, just like the next person. That's why judgment should never be passed, because that person is doing God's duty at the end of the day if they are walking a righteous path. Now, if you pass judgment, you might as well just consider yourself one of the wicked. See me, I understand my 1144 comfort motherfucking mission. If you are passing judgment, 1144, consider yourself one of the wicked, whether by gender, whether by race, whether by religion, meaning you are in competition with the next religion on who God is to you, because there is no competition. God, he made all people. He made people of different colors and gave them all different languages. So how can you say you're better than the next when you were created in the Father's eyes? So again, gender, race, religion, age, what else? Weight. I would say weight because in this society, a lot of people discriminate based on weight. Somebody who is bigger is less than a person who is smaller. And in the smaller person's eyes, whether you know it or not, they're looking at the bigger person like, I wish I was you. Think about it. It's a vice versa everywhere. Sexuality. You can't judge based off nothing, not even wealth. You can't say that poor man is less than you because he doesn't have the wealth you have. In actuality, see, everything in this world is reversed. Everything they shout and put in your face that is wrong is actually right. You just have to see through that. You have to see through the smoke screen. For instance, like I said, they say being skinny is healthy. No, ma'am, no. Loving your body, no matter what size you are, is what is healthy. Because if I have to be, in order to be skinny, I must watch my figure. I must watch what I eat. I must sculpt a body that is not really originally mine. Like, for instance, there is nothing wrong with you saying, okay, I feel like I'm too big at this size and I want to lose weight. But there is absolutely something wrong with you saying that I'm 120 pounds. And in order to stay at 120 pounds, I have to throw up my food and do shit that's just not godly. That means you don't love yourself. 15, 50, 55, confirmation, that's 5555. That means you don't love yourself enough to walk with God. Now, there's absolutely something right with saying, okay, because if you really think about it, 80s and 60s and 90s, since I am a black woman, most black women, based off that, not just racist, because I watched Martin and a lot of black comedy TV shows. A lot of those women, I looked up to them because they were more of a female role model than the women we see today. The women we see today are of a double characteristic, where those women back then were actually of God. They were healthy. They didn't get surgery and all of that. They loved themselves, and they expressed to you, you should love yourself regardless of what, even if they didn't say it out their mouth. How they moved in that TV show let you know. And that goes for any other race, too, from whatever you watched. Alright? For instance, there's something wrong with you spreading. You can spread the word of God, yes. You can do that, but it's not up to you for that person. Oh, how that person takes the message. For instance, like what the dude did at my job. He didn't know he was speaking to a child of God. And that's cool. I'm pretty sure God put one in his ass for that. Put his foot up his ass for that. But he knew he was speaking to a child of God after I put him in his motherfucking place about what he believed in. Because it allowed me to question him. And once I questioned him, it made him, throughout that same day, in every way possible, try to speak to me. After I clearly stated and decided in action that I wasn't going to speak to you and really didn't care. He made sure he explained his whole life story to me. It's like he was making up for something. People will do that. Once they figure out who you is and you put them in their place. That's why I say it's true. Never be afraid to use your throat chakra. Always speak the fuck up, because some people need to hear where they're going wrong at. It is your duty, because if you do not say something, think about it in this way. You're allowing that person to live their life in stupidity. And that is wrong. Because they may walk up to the next person that isn't of God's child, but of something else, even though that is their karma of their life, and say some shit like that to another person or disrespect another person and get their ass knocked dead the fuck out, or worse, in the ground. Because in some way, somehow, when you disrespect God's children, it comes back tenfold, which is why you must live your life never looking for revenge. You must always live your life by saying, I will walk, and how I would say is, my pain is my purpose. And due to my pain, it allows me to redefine my pain. In doing so, sorry, I had to blow my nose. But it's right here on my wall. You must redefine your pain, because doing so allows me to strengthen myself mentally, physically, and emotionally. Right? so that it becomes my purpose. On the short terms, my pain is my purpose. Everything you go through, you grow through, which is meant to strengthen you in God's eyes so you can walk the path of righteousness. So any pain that another person brings onto you, you should not wish harm onto them. You should allow karma to do its job, which means you have given them to God and their circumstances they put you into God, and allow Him to issue out the punishment. That's what that means. It is not your duty. That's living righteous and continuously and taking the time to sit with yourself, getting God's word in whichever way form. You can read a book, you can watch it, research it, but then after that, in that time, this is what I mean. You cannot sit there and continuously reading the book. No. You cannot sit there and continuously doing research. Eventually, you will have to get out of that funk, or you become these pussified ass men I work with. You must get out of that funk and live life again. Because while you were in that situation, as I said, grow through that situation, you were taught a lesson. Therefore, you studied the lesson while in hibernation, so that you can go out and get a new education. In the simplest terms. That's what that means. That's how you know you're living life. And your light is shining bright, not dimming. And because you're able to do that, I mean you will have a lot of haters. But understand, these haters are only coming in due to God's will. So do not pay attention to them, because the more you focus on them, the more the devil wins. You don't want that. You're walking by faith. So, like for instance, if I was to quit my job in this very moment, even though I'm making hella money, because I'm still here and not really focused on the negativity, I've been asking for overtime. This week I ended up getting... I did a 16-hour shift because somebody they want to do their 16-hour shift they signed up for. I did a 16-hour shift. Then I came in yesterday and did an extra, I did an extra 4 hours on Saturday because somebody called off, okay? And then today is 8 hours of overtime. So me asking for overtime way back then just got me overtime now, 2:24. Confirmation for the video time. 22:44 confirmation, my bad. It's got me overtime. That's called having faith. Because they don't know there's overtime. No matter how many times I ask, okay, cool. See, I can only go to certain people because I have so many haters at this job. So many male co-worker haters, that is seeable. God gave me the sight to see through everything. And so I don't spend my time. When I first got here, I noticed the hate automatically. And that was me introducing myself with a happy smile like I normally do. And I realized even because I had to smile, it was a problem. So I started using that smile on the coworkers, because again, I do security. So if I'm standing at the walk-through metal detecting, allowing people to come into my security area, I'm smiling, waving, all of that. Regardless, them people hate too. But when I say hate, it's not like, oh, I just don't hate on you because you think you're this and that. No, it's because of your spirit. I still smile. And there was one dude, what I realized was one dude who was going through something at the time, because I could see it. When you're going through something, that's not hate. People do go through things on a daily basis, so never mistake it as that sometimes. Always be willing to observe. That's what you have eyes for, to observe, to see. Then you have a mouth to speak. Use it, whether male or female. But use it in a way where you're educating the next and not putting them down. Because you can only go up in life, but you can never go down. If you're putting someone down, that means you're already down and you want them to be on your level. We don't do that. I speak on these things simply because I have to get out of here. This is too much long. I speak on these things because I know God speaks to me. I want to show y'all something real quick. In the time, because I had got a relationship at the beginning of the year. Well, At the middle of the year, I had got out of a relationship. At the beginning of the year, I started one, or a situationship. I want to show you something. Well, this is what it means to sit with yourself. Everything I thought I was based off other people in the moment of that relationship is here, right? But everything I know I am based off what I've learned in a situation is here. Do you see the difference? Everything I thought I was is less than what I am. That's what it means to re-educate yourself. That's what it means to sit with yourself, to hibernate. That's what it looks like. Now every time I step out in this world, I'm re-educating myself on new things and showing the world, God, what I've learned. Allowing him to know that I walk with him every day. Now this is just Blue. I'm done talking. I appreciate you, but I am out. Hopefully this message reaches the right people.